Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, and today I'm here to talk about episodes 1 and 2 of the new Showtime and Paramount Plus original series, Dexter Resurrection. So, I wasn't sure if I even wanted to watch this show, let alone cover it. I was torn because the original Dexter series is close to my heart. I love that show, I love that character, and Dexter is one of the shows that welcomed me back into television watching during a time when there were so many great prestige shows airing. At the same time, the original series ended poorly, and I don't mean like just the literal ending. Like, that show aired several seasons longer than it should have, getting to the point of becoming unlikable and just not enjoyable. And while I found Dexter New Blood to be enjoyable enough, and people said pretty good things about Original Sin, I didn't watch it, I started it. I think those last few seasons of the original series left some of us so scarred that we're still worried that any new Dexter series is going to pick up in quality where that one left off. You also have to take into account that no one asked for this. So continuing to shit out more episodes of Dexter, it reeks of desperation and like a cash grab rather than making me feel like you have a new and interesting story and direction for this character. Like, I prefer the thought process to be like, I have a new and interesting direction. I want to take this legendary character. Let's bring him back. This felt like, what's the quickest and easiest way to shit out some content that people will watch? I know, new Dexter. And so yeah, I was worried that this wasn't going to be any good, and I reserved the right at any point to say that it isn't. But as of right now, I kind of fuck with it. Like, as is always the case with Dexter, it's far from perfect. I have some issues so far, and we'll get to those shortly, but there's a lot to like here, at least early on, so that's where I want to start. Hey everybody, I just want to take a small break from this review to talk about the various other ways you can engage with me on other platforms. If you're so inclined, and I understand why you wouldn't, I am an acquired taste, but you can join the Patreon where you can get extra content like retro reviews, where I review old shows and movies to see if they still hold up today, Mike's Musings, where I talk about shows I'm watching that I don't cover on the channel, or Mike's VOD, where you can commission me to watch a show, which I will then review on the channel. And if you want to engage with me and chat with me more directly, I also implore you to join the Discord and follow the Facebook page. I set up channels in the Discord for all of us to discuss the shows I'm reviewing on the channel, and I also drop new videos in there since it's the easiest platform for me to share to from my phone. The Facebook can be really fun because I sort of live comment on shows I'm watching, often while under the influence, I'm not going to lie. And I'll also share news there, both about television and film and about myself as well. So if you like my content, you want to be more engaged, you think I'm charming, or you simply want to show support, feel free to sign up for the Patreon or join the Discord or Facebook today. Links to all platforms are in every video description. Remember to share all my shit to your respective social media platforms. And now back to this review. So Dexter Resurrection is leaning heavily into tech. That's super interesting to me. Again, I'm going to reserve some rights here. I reserve the right to be disappointed in whatever direction they take it. But I found myself like pausing the show to Google some of the tech to see if it was real. Like, we see a phone app. It seems to be able to scan rooms for hidden cameras. And we see a hoodie that, like, I'm not even going to attempt to describe it. And you want to know why I'm not going to attempt to describe it? Because it's an actual real fucking item. So I'm just going to read you its description directly from their website. The Camera Shy hoodie is a DIY adversarial garment designed to give the user the option to anonymize themselves within the recording of a night vision security camera. The hoodie embeds a number of high-power infrared LEDs utilizing the same wavelength of infrared light commonly used by security cameras as floodlights for night vision. By pointing the LEDs back at the camera and setting them to a tuned strobe, the security camera's capture becomes overexposed, significantly losing definition of the scene. I'm sorry, but I can't help but be intrigued by putting an item like that in a serial killer's tool belt. So interesting. I'm also intrigued by whatever it is that Uma Thurman's character does. It seems like she might be like recruiting the fucking Legion of Doom of serial killers. And like that, like, that's risky, right? Like, I don't know if that's actually what's happening, but that's really only going to go one of two ways. It's going to be something like pretty unique and exciting and interesting and fun, or it's going to be really fucking stupid. As of right now, though, I'm definitely intrigued by the character and what she's up to. So we'll see. Resurrection also features, at least so far, one of my favorite aspects of Dexter, which was watching him hunt. In these premiere episodes, we're introduced to a serial killer who kills rideshare drivers. Because of that, he's called the Dark Passenger, which doesn't sit well with Dexter for obvious reasons. But in my opinion, it was actually a pretty clever use of that term by the writing team here. But Dexter's trying to find this guy, this Dark Passenger, and I loved watching him do it. Like, the Dark Passenger was caught on camera by a driver who used very common sense to escape. But the hoodie that I just described kept his face obscured. Real quick, though, I want to go on a little tangent about this. The killer put it looked like a beaded necklace like around this guy's around the driver's neck, and he's behind him, and he's making him drive. And I'm like, if you don't just slam the brakes, take the fucking necklace off, and get out of the fucking car, I don't know what's going on. And then when they talk to the guy who actually escaped, the guy's like, yeah, I slammed on the brakes, I took the shit off my neck, and I got out of the fucking car. I'm like, all right, well then. But anyway, Dexter peeped the bag from a tech company in the video, and they went onto the company's site looking for people who might be that Dark Passenger. Conveniently, they had their entire staff pictured on the public website. And even more conveniently, the guy that Dexter was looking for was the only person who didn't have a picture by their name. It was just like it wasn't an empty circle, but it was, like no picture found. But that made Dexter's search a lot easier. You're going to hone in on the one who's trying to hide. And he looked the guy up, couldn't find any information on him, so he's like, this guy's clearly hiding. Made a little bit of conveniences in finding here, but still, I liked watching Dexter's process. We also see Dexter kind of following Harrison's footsteps too. Not follow in Harrison's footsteps, following Harrison's footsteps. Like he's tracing him, like following behind him. And I'm going to talk about that in a different context momentarily, but again, I enjoyed watching Dexter essentially be a detective. By the end of episode 2, Dexter is signed up to be a rideshare driver himself in hopes of catching the Dark Passenger that way. So, cool. I'm good with this so far. We also get some cameos from past characters during the opening moments of episode 1, highlighted by the return of my main man, Dokes, accompanied with a nice surprise motherfucker. I loved getting that surprise motherfucker. Very happy to see that. We also see the actual return, not just one in a well, he's dead, but not just one that's in like a hallucination. We get the actual return of James Remar as Harry Morgan, and David Zayas is probably my favorite non-Dexter Morgan character, Angel Batista. And speaking of which, that's another thing I like. It looks like Batista's going to be the person that's going to be chasing Dexter, and I love that. Like, Batista's a great character, and he's a great detective. He's a great cop. And, of course, he knows Dexter well. So it's a very worthy adversary for Dexter. Plus, you already got the buy-in from the audience with no effort put forth because we already know and love Batista. So, I don't know for sure that's where this is going, but if it is and they do it, I like that. I'm feeling like the original series is kind of like both a gift and a curse. So let's get into what I didn't like. You got to suspend a lot of disbelief in these first 2 episodes, and I have a very low tolerance for that. Like, I won't be speaking kindly of this show for very long if I have to keep pushing past so many that would never fucking happen moments. Like, I talked earlier about Dexter tracking down his Dark Passenger. And part of how he did it involved him becoming friends with a current rideshare driver. And everything that happened to make that possible was implausible. And they're setting up even more ridiculously implausible shit to come. So Dexter gets in this Uber. They don't call it Uber on the show. I forget what they call it. U-Ride or some shit like that. But we're going to call it Uber because that's what we know. You and I, the audience. So we're going to call it that, but that's not what it is on the show. Dexter gets in an Uber. And the driver seems pretty particular about making sure that Dexter was the person he was supposed to pick up. And when Dexter gets to the car, the driver apologizes and is like, yeah, sorry about that. But this motherfucker out here cutting the heads off of Uber drivers. So, I just want to make sure that you're the right guy. Then by the end of the ride, he's giving Dexter his home address and inviting him to a cookout. Then by the end of the episode, this Uber driver in New York City is renting out his extra space in New York City as an Uber driver. He's renting out this extra space to Dexter. In what world would an Uber driver give his home address to a passenger he just met? Further, in what world would an Uber driver give his home address to a passenger he just met when his passengers out here cutting motherfuckers' heads off? Like this is the kind of shit I don't have the patience for. Like, don't say, as a writer or whoever's working on the show, don't say, I want to get to this end point. In this case, the end point would be Dexter having somewhere to live in New York. Don't say, I want to get to this end point and give no percentage of fucks about how you get there. Like, the path to get Dexter a place to stay in New York was no more plausible than having a magical fucking nymph create a home for Dexter made out of strawberries and Hershey Kisses. Like, they didn't give a fuck, and you need to give a fuck about everything. You need to consider everything. If you want to make a high-quality prestige show, you need to care about how you move characters from point A to point B, and they didn't care about that shit, straight up. I have another example. The general plot so far involving Dexter's son, Harrison, is as follows. Harrison now works at a hotel. He's great at his job, really likable, provides first-class service, all that good stuff. A guy staying at his hotel named Ryan, who looks suspiciously like Matt Gaetz to me, tries to rape a woman staying at the hotel that Harrison had met earlier. Having met her earlier is how Harrison knows that Ryan is lying when Ryan says that this is his wife. Harrison ends up saving the woman from Ryan and then kills Ryan after Ryan essentially says there's plenty more fish in the sea for him to rape. So Harrison then goes through Dexter's whole process of cleaning up the scene, dismembering the body, cleaning up where he dismembered the body at. And he does all this with headphones on, by the way, which, I mean, why the fuck would you do that? like when you're cutting up a body in a hotel kitchen, I think you want to be able to hear if somebody's coming. I don't care if it's 3 o'clock in the fucking morning. That is like somebody who might have forgot their fucking keys or their wallet or some insignificant shit could come in there at any moment. Why would you, even if there's a 1% chance, why would you allow that person to catch you? What the fuck? Anyway, he throws the body parts in trash bags just as Dexter did. But unlike Dexter, he doesn't then throw the trash bags into the water. He throws them on the curb. So, of course, the body parts get discovered and inevitably things start to unravel as this weird-ass cop lady starts piecing things together, literally and figuratively. This is what brings Dexter to New York. He hears how the body was cut up the same way that he used to do it. He assumes it's Harrison, and he heads to New York to help him since if he's hearing about this, then that means that Harrison is fucking up in some kind of way. So here's the point that I wanted to get to as another example of the show not giving a fuck about how you get characters from point A to point B. Dexter decides he needs to essentially, again, follow Harrison's footsteps and look for anything Harrison might have fucked up in the process and fix it. He successfully, if not implausibly, sneaks into the hotel, and he makes it to the room that Ryan was murdered in. While he's in there, the weird-ass cop lady shows up, and she's with the hotel manager, and so Dexter has to hide in the closet. The weird-ass cop lady just, like, walks around and narrates everything she's learned so far, and then they leave. And, like this is what I'm talking about when I said you have to give a fuck about how you get characters from point A to point B, how you get them where you want them. They wanted Dexter to know what she knows, but they didn't give a fuck about how he learned it. If you're a weird-ass cop lady, what were you doing in that scene? Why did you go to that room? Like, she just went in there, shared information out loud, and then fucked off. Like, what was she there for? And that's the problem. They didn't give a fuck about giving us a plausible reason for her to be there. They just wanted Dexter to know what she knew, and they put absolutely no effort whatsoever into giving him that information plausibly. So, yeah. While there's a lot to like so far, there's also a lot to kind of hate. I'm going to continue to watch the good stuff. The detective work by both. I'm going to continue to watch because of the good stuff. The detective work by Dexter and Batista, Uma Thurman's character, whatever she's up to. It has a high enough ceiling to outweigh some of the implausible shit. But I don't think the implausible stuff is going anywhere anytime soon, unfortunately. So the good stuff is going to probably have to reach that ceiling for this show to be considered good or successful by me. For now, though, I'll be back next week to talk about episode 3. Remember to rate, comment, subscribe, share to your social media, all that good stuff. And until next week, peace.